He's pushing forward again. Yes, the leader who has guided China for over a decade is accelerating, even as the world urges him to slow down. History in China has a way of repeating itself with striking similarity, from the late Ming dynasty to the late Qing, and now to the present. Every regime's decline begins with self-inflicted ruin. Long ago, Empress Dowager Cixi, under the banner of the Boxers, declared war on global powers, launching the disastrous Boxer Rebellion. The outcome? Lost territories, crushing reparations, and national humiliation that buried the Qing dynasty. Today, Beijing is treading a similar path. China has imposed sweeping export controls on rare earths, citing national security, effectively challenging the Western alliance led by the United States. In response, President Trump swiftly retaliated, imposing 100% tariffs on Chinese goods and restricting critical software exports. What does this mean? It signals that China's economy, already struggling, is losing its last lifeline, foreign trade. With this rare earths for ruin strategy, Beijing has ignited its own fuse. On October 10th, President Trump took to Truth Social declaring China's export controls a moral outrage and a hostile message to the world. This wasn't diplomatic posturing, it was a declaration of economic warfare. Starting November 1st, all Chinese goods will face an additional 100% tariff, with some sectors hit by rates as high as 130%. Trump's actions mark the swift rise of an economic iron curtain between the US and China. The fragile truce in the tariff war will end on November 10th, and Beijing's latest provocative move has shattered any hope of peace. Not backing down, Beijing announced that starting in December, any foreign company using Chinese rare earths or related technologies, even those unaffiliated with Chinese firms, must secure Beijing's approval. In essence, Beijing aims to weaponize permits, strangling global supply chains with bureaucracy. Yet, history shows that such a weapon often wounds the one wielding it. Rare earths, often called the vitamins of industry, are essential for producing electric vehicles, motors, missiles, and semiconductors. China controls 70% of the global supply, seemingly holding a powerful card. But can it truly threaten the US? A US Trade Representative's Office report reveals that the US has been developing alternative rare earth supply chains in Australia, Canada, Vietnam, and Malaysia. In 2024, China's share of U.S. rare earth imports fell from 80% in 2019 to just 43%. Over 5 years, the effort to decouple from Chinese rare earths has surged forward. So, when Beijing brandishes its rare earth leverage, Trump smiles. He knows this strike won't harm the U.S., but will devastate China's own mining communities, factories, and workers who rely on rare earth exports. They'll bear the brunt of this policy's fallout. As of 2025, roughly 60% of China's rare earth industry is operating at a loss. Severe overcapacity plagues key hubs like Baotou, Ganzhou, and Inner Mongolia. With export routes blocked, mined ores will pile up in warehouses, left to deteriorate. A planned symbolic meeting between US and Chinese leaders at the APEC summit in South Korea was meant to ease tensions. But with China's rare earth export controls, Trump responded publicly with frustration. I intended to meet with him, but now I see no reason to. An American scholar remarked, China tried to use rare earths as leverage and ended up overturning the negotiation table. This isn't just a diplomatic setback, it's a pivotal moment in the decoupling of the US and China. Over the past 5 years, the US has intensified efforts to reduce reliance on China in high-tech, finance, military, and energy sectors. Now, even rare earths, once a symbol of China's manufacturing dominance, are slipping from Beijing's control. What does this signify? The era of Made in China dominating the globe may be drawing to a close. Some view this trade war as a personal clash between Beijing and Trump. I see it as a deeper conflict, a collision of civilizations. On one side, a political system races toward its own demise. On the other, the unrelenting logic of global markets delivers its judgment. This isn't just about tariffs. It's a defining battle for China's future over the next decade. Within 72 hours of Trump's tariff announcement, executives from China's coastal export firms were sharing a single word in WeChat groups. Finished. A bathroom fixture factory owner in Foshan, Guangdong said, if the US market closes, we lose 80% of our orders overnight. A motor factory manager in Ningbo was more direct. Last year, we clung to European orders to survive. This year, even those are gone. The world is steering clear of China. The numbers tell a stark story. In September 2025, China's exports to the US dropped 23.8% compared to the previous year. The national manufacturing PMI has remained below the growth threshold for 7 consecutive months. Profits for large-scale manufacturers fell 17.5% year-on-year, and over 120,000 small and medium-sized manufacturers are in a state of near shutdown. This is the harsh reality of deglobalization. China is no longer the world's manufacturing hub. It's becoming a risk zone, deliberately excluded from global supply chains. The rare earth export restrictions have set off a chain reaction. Downstream industries, electric vehicles, magnetic materials, and semiconductor equipment are reeling. In Ganzhou, Jiangxi, 60% of rare earth plants have halted production. In Baotu's rare earth industrial park, an unprecedented ore pileup has left millions of tons of raw materials exposed in open-air warehouses, deteriorating under the elements. One media outlet described it vividly. Rare earths have become rare mud, as China buries its own strategic resources. The trade war's other side is a massive capital flight. According to Nikkei, in the first half of 2025, foreign capital withdrew $52 billion from China, the highest since 2015. Manufacturing giants from the U.S., Germany, and South Korea are relocating production to Vietnam, India, and Mexico. Samsung is moving its last display factory from Shenzhen to Malaysia. Apple has shifted parts of its AirPods and MacBook production to India. Even Tesla, once heavily reliant on Chinese manufacturing, has fully activated its new Texas plant, signaling the full launch of de-China strategies. The reasoning is clear. Who would invest in a country that could be cut off at any moment? Capital flees uncertainty, and China is now the epicenter of unpredictability. Facing a collapsing export sector, Beijing's leadership has touted an internal circulation strategy, hoping domestic consumption can prop up the economy. But reality has delivered a harsh blow. In the third quarter of 2025, retail sales of consumer goods fell 6.3% year-on-year. Car sales dropped 18.9%, and smartphone shipments plummeted 27%. Worse still, 22 of China's 31 provinces are grappling with fiscal deficits beyond critical levels. The Ministry of Finance reports that local government hidden debt has surpassed 70 trillion yuan, half of China's GDP. Some local governments have even delayed public sector wages, masking the issue as stability subsidies. In this fiscal crisis, Beijing has resorted to desperate measures, increasing personal income taxes, restricting Social Security withdrawals, and expanding property tax trials. In plain terms, the government is reaching into the pockets of ordinary citizens. The true cost of this trade war isn't just economic, it's the unraveling of China's social fabric. The wealthy are prepared. According to Credit Suisse, in the first half of 2025, high net worth individuals moved over 1.2 trillion yuan out of China, a record high. Offshore trusts, overseas family funds, and immigration programs are their new shelters. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens face a bleaker reality. Declining wages, rising unemployment, plummeting home prices, and soaring living costs. For a decade, many in China clung to the belief that they could endure any hardship. But by 2025, even that hope is fading. With rare earth restrictions and tariff retaliations, global supply chains are being restructured. The US, Australia, and Canada have formed a Western Rare Earth Alliance. Japan and India have partnered to replace 80% of China's rare earth magnet production within 5 years. The EU has imposed carbon tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, severing China's excess capacity export routes. In the past, China built its status as the world's factory through cheap labor, resource monopolies, and lax environmental standards. Now the world is isolating China with technology restrictions and tariff barriers. The IMF's October report warns that if US-China trade tensions persist into 2026, China's economic growth could fall below 2%. This would mark the end of China's high-growth era, ushering in a prolonged period of low growth, reduced consumption, and diminished hope. Looking back, from the Qing dynasty's westernization dreams to China's rare earth ambitions, every surge of national confidence has foreshadowed collapse. Beijing believed rare earths were its trump card, but they've proven to be its final illusion. Trump's tariffs are more than a policy, they're a reckoning for China's fantasies. This trade war has no victors, but it has exposed the vulnerabilities of China's economy. As one scholar observed, China is racing from a manufacturing powerhouse to a manufacturing mirage. Thanks for watching and joining us on this journey to unveil China's many layers. If you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with others, and hit that subscribe button to stay updated. See you in the next video.